A very good morning to Encik Muhammad Zaki bin Yahya and everyone. I'm Pavithran Arumugam from class DAT5AK2 and my matric number is 01DAT19F1026. Today, I would like to present my graph that I had studied. The graph that I chose is a line graph and it is about Malaysia's inflation rate from the year 1986 to 2026. Firstly, let me explain about the inflation rate. The inflation rate is annual rate of increase of a price index, normally the consumer price index over time. Now, let's start looking at the details are presented in the graph. As you can see on the top of the graph, the main title of the graph is stated clearly, which is Malaysia inflation rate from 1986 to 2026. On the y-axis, which is at the left side of the graph, it shows us the inflation rate compared to the previous year, and the data is shown in percentage form. Meanwhile, on the x-axis, which is on the bottom of the graph, it represents the years. Moving on, let's start analyzing the data. Based on the graph, you can clearly see that the inflation rate in Malaysia in 2008 is the highest percentage, which is 5.43% compared to the year 2020, which is the lowest inflation rate, negative 1.14%. As we can see from this graph, the inflation rate stood at 0.35% in 1986 and rose slightly at 0.74% in 1987. Next, the inflation rate declined slightly in 1988 and rose significantly to 2.56% in 1989. In the same way, the inflation rate increased by 2.22% from 1989 to 1992, which is 4.78%. However, the inflation rate declined slightly to 2.66% from the year 1992 to 1997. Nevertheless, the inflation rate rose significantly at 5.29% in 1998 and fell dramatically in 2000, which is 1.55%. The inflation rate declined slightly again in 2003 to 1.07%. In contrast, the inflation rate increased by 2.55% from 2003 to 2006, which is 3.62%. The inflation rate declined slightly to 2.03% in 2007 and reached a peak in 2008, which is 5.43%. Then the inflation rate fell dramatically from 5.43 in 2008 to 0.6% in 2009. It is then followed by a slight peak of inflation in 2011, which is 3.17%. After that, from the year 2012 to 2014, the inflation rate increased slightly from 1.72% to 3.14%. It is also declined slightly in 2015, which is 2.1%, and increased back in 2017 to 3.8%. However, the rate fell dramatically from 2017 to 2020, which is negative 1.14%. Finally, the inflation rate remained stagnant from the year 2021 to 2026, which is the rate of 2%. Based on the analysis, it can be concluded that inflation rate in Malaysia from 1986 to 2026 fluctuated. In view of this, Malaysia's economy is slowly recovering. That's all from me, and thank you to Encik Muhammad Zaki and everyone for being a wonderful audience to listen my presentation. Thank you very much.